Okay, why don't we call the meeting to order? Please, all rise. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Carla, could you please call the roll call, please?
Robert Mueller.
Here.
Dina Kreitler.
Here.
Jan Bronze.
Here.
Beth Caldwell.
Here.
Stephanie Grumminger.
Here.
Kelly Fowler. She said she wouldn't be here today. Laura Oliver.
Here.
Michael Hankins.
Mike told me that he
He
was
said he would.
unable to be here.
Kathleen Waltz.
Here.
And Joe Steiger. We have a quorum.
Okay. I think you have before you the agenda for the meeting. Are there any additions to the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda. Second.
Second by Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Approval of minutes of the previous meeting. They're in your packet, and Carla sent those out previously. Give you a minute to kind of relook at them.
I make a motion to approve if there's no changes or amendments to the minutes.
Kathy made the motion. Is there a second on the floor?
Second.
Beth? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Are there any citizens to be heard today?
I see two in the room.
I see.
City administrators have to sacrifice to give up their citizens.
And Mr. Carrick's in the back taking notes. So, very good. Toby, do you want to say anything? Okay. Then we'll move on to, there being no citizens to be heard, we'll move on to the Director of Tourism report.
Okay, you guys have this huge packet. The majority of this packet is your copy of the fiscal year 14 Leisure Tourism Cooperative Grant and the 2014 Cooperative Tour Research Grant. So that's why the majority of this is so thick. It was submitted and accepted March 1st. They're in the process of going through all of the applications. In line with this, the budget process is ongoing in Jefferson City. The Jay Nixon had recommended a $6 million increase to the budget of tourism, Department of Tourism for the state, and it passed through the House. So now it will go on to the Senate, and then there will be, when they come back on March 25th, is when they'll start working on the budgets. Approval of any of the grant applications are dependent upon approval of the tourism.
Is there anything we could do when they come back? Would you have any notification from the House Committee it'll be before, for example, if we could make a pilgrimage with other communities or on our own and go lobby for keeping that $6 million in?
It is absolutely possible to do. And the Missouri Travel Committee is the overall Missouri Travel hotels, restaurants, sporting venues, everything that falls within a tourism-related. And the Missouri Association of CVBs have been working together, and we have a consultant that works as a liaison between the MTC, MACVB, and the legislature. So he's basically a lobbyist for tourism, and he gives me weekly updates. He gives everybody weekly updates. And at this point, since it's still new, but that is one thing that they have been welcoming, is any letters or contacting your local representatives, especially if they're a freshman, to really let them know how important it is to our community, because we really need their support.
I know several years ago, a group of people from town wore their French colonial costumes and went to Washington and visited Congressman Carnahan's office, our senators' offices, and everybody else who had a light on in their office. And it made quite an impression having everybody trooping around the halls of Congress in their costumes, visiting and saying, this is what we want. So it's possible to do it again.
Absolutely. And I think that would be kind of fun to do with, so they'll be back there on spring break. They come back March 25th. I am in meetings March 25th and March 26th up in St. Louis. But, you know, I still have all my gear, though it's not French colonial. It is 18th century. And then anyone else, if there's people wanting to do that, we can absolutely do that.
Well, I think it's important that we, you know, one of the things we typically do is write your senator, Gary Romine, and you can do that online and encourage him to support the program.
And Kevin Engler
Is our representative. Yeah.
So, and he's pretty familiar with the process. Gary is a freshman, and so he might need a little bit of extra attention.
I'm surprised it went through the House after listening to them talk about the budget.
I am floored that they approved the $6 million. Last year, they were trying to cut it $3 million and completely cut out the co-op portion. So it's very exciting to see that not only did they maintain the original $13,000 budget, but $13 million budget, but they're increasing this $9 million or $6 million. So we'll have, if it all goes through, a $19 million budget for the state of Missouri. Very exciting.
Is this for the fiscal year, or for the fiscal year that'll start in June?
Yes, July.
July.
July 1st
But
through
they
June
meet in
30th.
That's when we're always nervous about, are they not?
Yes, and we are supposed to know, the budget is supposed to be approved and signed by the end of May. And we should have, now, you know, we should be informed how much money we received, how much we didn't, by the end of May. The last couple of years, they've really been kind of hounding on the budget, so it's taken a little longer. And we've been into June before we've known, which is difficult because a lot of the advertising for that first quarter, I'm about to start working on now. So it's kind of that keep your fingers crossed, make sure we get our advertising out, and hope that they fund. So what I've been working on, as far as the co-op grants are concerned, the fiscal year 13 second quarter reimbursement has been submitted and accepted. We expect payment on that anytime. There were 2 applications that I sent in, and you have a copy of both. First one is a fiscal year 14 co-op leisure travel packet. This includes advertising in AAA and Group Tour magazine, both of which provide hard leads so that we can track the ROI, the return on the investment, and we can also use these for conversion studies. The second application that I placed was for a tourism research grant, and that would be held in 2014, but it would review our hard leads that we received in 2013.
Is that in the packet?
Yes, everything is in here. The first chunk of pages is the leisure tour. The second chunk of pages is the tourism research. So I requested $8,000 for tourism research, and I requested, and that's a match, a half match, $4,000, $4,000. And then for leisure tour, I requested $41,669.05, and that's a matching $20,000 and some change from the state and from us. So,
How is that second one different from what you plan to do this year? You had money in the budget to do the conversion study.
it's through the city. That one is purely, the city is funding it. This one, the funding is being a matching grant, which will increase our ability. Going through the city, I was only able to allocate $2,500 toward a conversion study. This way, I'm able to allocate $8,000. And The state has been for several years really encouraging us and all of the DMOs to have deeper insight, have conversion studies done, whatever you can afford to get done, because all of this information helps Katie Steele Danner, who is the Director of Tourism for the state of Missouri, when she goes to the legislature and to the Senate and has to defend her budget request. So, the more information we can give helps the state, it also helps us.
Just where are you at on the conversion study for this year?
We need to go through bidding, and once we get bidding done, we can start with the
I-
process.
You and I had had a conversation on the email back in October, and you said you were putting the scope of work together back then. Is the scope of work done?
Yes.
When's it going out for bid?
I'm actually waiting until we're done with the website design, get that taken care of, and then I will start bidding out. I don't want to have too many things out there.
Is it going to physically be able to be done in this calendar or fiscal
Yes.
year?
Yes. Yes, it will. So then, next couple of pages after my top page.
But what's the relationship between the website and the conversion study? Why do you think there's a conflict?
Just having bids coming in, I didn't want it to be confusing. I can have both at the same time.
I don't think there's a reason why.
Okay. I will get that process rolling.
You asked, excuse me, Bob asked about fiscal year, but you guys should crossing over into 14 on grid.
On which grid? Which
Page 4 of the grant application. The budget
which grant application?
state.
There's two of them. There's a tourism research, and then there is the leisure tour marketing. Which one are you looking at?
The H2R market.
The H2R marketing, okay. And what was your question?
I just wanted to be clear about what Bob's question was about in this fiscal year. You're talking about.
I'm talking about the money that's allocated in the city's budget or the tourism budget to do a conversion study. It was to contact 400 people, as I recall.
Right.
And how much bigger, I guess and that has to be done by October or September 30 of this year, or the money disappears. What she's asked for is another study coming with part city funding, part state funding, that'll be done it's not our fiscal year, it's the state's fiscal year.
Correct.
For the grants. And how big do you anticipate that's, if we're doing 400 on ours now, how big is that one going to be?
It's a mix, but the biggest difference is that it's going to be a telephone methodology as opposed to the method that is being done for the 400 people and $2,500. That's going to be more postcard and email driven. So the biggest cost is that they're going to be doing telephone, mixed methodology. Before people start calling, you have to send them a postcard. Would you be interested? We'll be giving you a call, and that way they're not getting a call out of the blue and offending anybody, having their private information being traded to another company.
What's our pool of potential people? If we're doing 400 now, is it 10,000, 2,000?
Well, if we're looking at, so fiscal year 12, we had a total of 2,500 advertising leads as a result of our advertising. So that is what the 400 is going to come out of. Fiscal year 14, we are going to take from the pool of hard leads that received from fiscal year 13 advertising, so that it's current information. And right now, as of December, we had over 1,500 hard leads as a result.
So I'm going to go back again.
It's broken up by year. Fiscal year 12.
We're talking about the state's fiscal year 12.
Yes. State fiscal year 12, we received 2,500 hard leads from our advertising. So the 2,500 that we have here in fiscal year 13 is going to review, it'll be a conversion study on those 2,500 with the expectation of 400 people are going to respond. The fiscal year 14 grant will review fiscal year 13 leads. So all of the leads that we get from July to June will be the pool of people that we use to do the conversion study there. And as of December, we had 1,500, but we just received 4 more reports of leads that went out.
Okay, understand.
No, I'm sorry to slow things down, but I'm just still unclear about this H2R marketing, because you've got the budget line item A, which is fiscal year 13, and then the other 2 items are in 14.
It should be 13. There is, if you go further in the packet, they had sent, the Missouri Department of, they sent me a follow-up to clarify on that, and I have that included in here, it's the last couple of pages. And so I provided that the information would be for the fiscal year 13.
Yeah, I'm talking about the budget allocation.
No, I know, and that's what they sent me an email to clarify. So
That's okay?
Yes, I clarified with, the marketing study is referring to the marketing that took place between July 1st, 2012 to June 30th. And they said this is exactly what they need, and so that was amended. It will all, the work will be done in fiscal year 14.
That's all.
Okay. Any other questions? There's a lot of information to go through on those. If anyone has any questions, and I apologize for the printing. The blue cartridge was not being cooperative, so there's some extra blue in the print there. If anyone goes through that, has any questions, feel free to contact me, and I'd be happy to sit down and talk. There's also an amendment on the leisure tour marketing packet on the numbers. When I added up the numbers, it should have been $41,699.05, and I have $41,066.905. So we have, they sent an amended adjustment, and that's included in here as well. So that's been taken care of. That was just a matter of fat finger on the keyboard. I hit the 6 instead of the 9.
That's one more question.
Yes.
Who's doing the immediate survey with 400?
It'll be H2R marketing, but we have to bid it because of the
Yeah.
price. Okay, moving on to visitors and passports. Passports are not on sale until April 1st, when everyone should be opening back up. January visitors are down from 2012, but January 2012 was unseasonably warm, as was February, so we had a higher flow of traffic through the Welcome Center. But the fiscal year, January 13th, our numbers prior to the 2012, they're pretty consistent to what we have seen in January in the past. So we are on target with the same amount of visitors. We just had a blip last year with the nice weather. The budget report, our expenses are much lower than January of 2012. And then the revenue, which I have now started including, shows we received, the biggest amount of money we received was our cooperative reimbursement for first quarter, and that was over $7,000. So when you look at our revenue and our expenses, our total revenue in January was $8,553.28. Total expenses were $9,667.53. What's nice about this is that $8,000, none of that was general sales tax revenue. This was all money that we either made from the tourism tax or sales at the Welcome Center. We didn't have any tour groups in January, but tour groups would also add into that revenue that we don't normally. That doesn't come out of sales tax. And if you look at the expenses in January, the majority, again, of the expenses fall on just building operations and labor and sales. Anything on the Welcome Center, we had to replace some parts on our timers for the lights coming in and out. We got rid of the old timer. We now have an eye, so that when it gets dusk, the lights come on. When it gets light, the lights will go off. so we don't have to continually program and go back, and it was wearing out. Our lights were on almost all the time, so hopefully this will result in a cheaper electric bill, the Welcome Center. Let's see what's next. Okay, so that bottom line should say January web report, not December web report. I missed that one. And again, we are still seeing January 13 over January 2012. Definitely, we're still seeing that increase as well. The only negative number that we had come in that was not a good negative number was on the average visit duration, and that's in minutes, how many minutes people spent. And it was maybe 60 seconds less than January 12th. But all of our numbers look fantastic. So you have a copy of the breakdown that shows the year over year. And then you also have a copy of the Google report that I print off. Does anyone have any questions?
I'd like to ask, how do we get back to reviewing the current past month instead of 2 months ago? Up until October of last year, when you brought data in, it was the previous, like if we should be looking at February data, here we're more than halfway through March, and we're looking at January data. It's really hard to try to evaluate things when we're getting that far behind. And how can we get back to reviewing last month's data or seeing last month's data?
As soon as I hire, and I am in the process of hiring, I have one person who can use the computer. He's in 2 days, maybe a week, and there is a lot of things that we have to get done. And so, as we go through, once I have the staffing, I will be able to come back up to a month.
Who are you down?
I only have one person. Tori is going to school Monday through Thursday. He comes in Fridays and maybe some Saturdays. But we have...
As soon as you hire someone.
Yes, I'm hiring a part-time position with skills for customer service and also computer skills. So they will have the ability to work on all of the different spreadsheets and all of the information that we track.
Replacing someone?
No, it's not replacing someone, and I'm not gonna have multiple people. They will run the Welcome Center and help with all of the, it'll be like another Tori.
That's good.
Yes, that's desperately needed.
You budgeted yourself and 3 part-time.
Right, but I won't have any double duty. So,
the other part-time folks will have less hours.
correct.
So it's still the same number of hours that you're putting out payroll for, even though it's one more person?
Yes.
Where are you in this hiring process?
I am waiting for people who qualify.
You going through workforce?
I'm going through workforce, yeah.
And
And
they're
so,
running after that.
and they are, and I sent them a copy of the job description in electronic format, so they have that available. And then I'm also going to put a post on our Facebook page for St. Genevieve saying, the Welcome Center is hiring for part-time work, please apply through Workforce. I actually meant to do that before I came in today, but it didn't happen. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Sorry.
But that's my biggest thing, is Friday and Saturdays are our busiest days, so in addition to all of the stuff that has to be done as far as the computer work, we still have to answer the phones, and we still have to talk with the people that are walking through the door, so it takes time.
Well, it takes about 5 minutes to do.
No, it takes more
just-
than that.
Let me finish. It takes 5 minutes to get the Google Analytic report. Sue can provide the financial data within 5 days of the closing of the month.
But it's not accurate. I go through and I assess everything that I sent in and make corrections, and then I actually don't have an updated corrected report until the second week.
Well, it's still, we're meeting the third week. It's not that much data. And on the daily visitor report, can your people fill out a daily form with numbers that says, we had this many visitors, I know they keep little tick marks, this many passports, and that sort of thing? Are they capable of doing that?
Well, one, we're not selling passports right
When
now.
when you do, can
but
they write that down?
They could, but it's still a matter of having someone sit down and put it into the website. And
Why, if when somebody volunteers to help you, why do you ignore that?
I am not ignoring
'Cause-
anyone volunteering, but I also have to keep in mind, and this is a question that I would have for Martin, we are a city department, and we are responsible and liable, and at what extent can we have volunteers? What level of involvement can they have?
Didn't we not produce a form for volunteers here or something?
We do, but, I mean, it's been kept to kind of like filing, or, I mean, it's been.
Look,
very-
I'd be glad to enter to
Non-invasive.
the data into the spreadsheets. I created the spreadsheets for you. If they can't fill out the computer spreadsheet, I'd be glad to do it. It's not going to take that long to enter 210 numbers.
As soon as I have someone hired, it won't be an issue. The reason why I got behind is because my staff person started school Monday through Thursday and was only in on 2 days a week. So, in order to make sure that I am providing up-to-date, accurate information, I'm a month behind. It's the same information that the Board of Aldermen is getting at this point in time. Once
And
I
they get it
have-
the end of the month.
Once I have an employee who I have trained, who will be there during the week, who can update this information, because it's more than just these numbers. There are a multitude of spreadsheets and tracking that we have to do, and there has to be a priority. We can't put something to the side that has a higher priority for this right now.
Well,
So,
I'd encourage you to
once
get
I
there
have-
quickly, because it's not good for the alderman to see data that's a month and a half old. It's not good for us to see data that's a month and a half old. It's kind of
But it's
useless.
accurate. I think it's more useless to have accurate that may not be, that may not be up to date and correct.
Update us next month on where you're at on this process, please.
Certainly. Any other questions?
I had a couple of questions on your year-end report. We had budgeted, or the state had given us $18,609 last year, but we only recouped $17,621. But we, as a city, we spent the full $38,000 or what it was. How did we end up short about $9,000 in reimbursement from the co-op?
Well, for the fiscal year 12 grant, there were places where I was able to save money, and this is something that repeated by going back and calling and saying, hey, and that includes work that Kim Drury does for us, and by using multiple ads, she's not having to reproduce, so I'm able to save money. We cannot reuse that money anywhere else. As long as we use, what is that, 85% of our budget? 90% of our budget? 90.
Well, the closer to 100, the better.
Right.
Well, we actually,
Can't go below 90.
Right, well, let me finish. Their way the budget falls, we are paying for their fiscal year 13 while we are still in our fiscal year 12.
right.
So there is crossover. And so there's going to be an increase because we had 18,000 reimbursement. This year we have, I think, 24,000 reimbursement. So there's going to be a difference because we are having to pay bills July through September, thank you. And then, starting that October 1st. So that is the reason why we will never have an accurate, because we have these multiple fiscal year start dates.
When we do our ads, do we try to get those so that we get the invoices in and all of that so we can apply those by July? Because you know, you've always said you're
You
already
have to wait.
doing.
There are certain things that we have to have in place
Right.
before we can ask for reimbursement.
Right, the
We
tear
have to
sheet,
have
an invoice.
Invoice, tear sheet, and a copy of the canceled check.
Yep.
And that's the one thing that we are always waiting for. And as soon as I have all of my quarterly invoices and copies of the checks, I send in a reimbursement request. We were behind in February because some of the checks didn't clear right away. But normally I have these requests in a month in advance of the deadline. But with the co-op,
Will we
we
ever
have
be, we
to-
won't be able to recover the extra money that we spent on that advertising then?
not in that fiscal year. It would come in the next fiscal year because of how our advertising goes.
So we should recover that.
Yeah, Q2 advertising, which was actually, I'm already done with all of the advertising. Fourth quarter, everything is done on the grant. Fiscal year, quarter 2 was due February 28th. The next deadline, I believe, is due not until May, and then the following deadline after that is not due until August. I can't send in a Q2 before I have Q1 in, and vice versa. So there is a 50 to 60 page guidelines on what we can and can't do and how it is supposed to be done. And if we do not dot our I's and cross our T's, and I work on the state stuff daily, just to make sure that we have everything correct, everything is accurate, everything is approved, to make sure that we get our reimbursement. Because if there is one thing that's not accurate, they come back and they say, we will not reimburse you for this. And so then we're out the money. I believe I had emailed out the guidelines,
Mhm.
so that everybody can see and look and become familiar with it. But it is a huge document, it has a lot of information. And if you're interested, I believe they have a webinar on the tourism industry website of the guidelines and kind of going through it and helping people out. They do that for a lot of the new DMOs. And then also this year, we had a big change with their, state of Missouri is changing their branding. It's, as of January 1st, it was Missouri Enjoy the Show, which you can kind of see, it's on the application front page. It's in color. But it's very colorful, and that's their new slogan, that's their new. So most of the fiscal year 14 webinar was to get people familiar with all of the new campaign, with the campaign, with the logo, with all that information. And I believe it's about an hour long.
The other question on the summary report, we talked about the group travel magazine and 177 group leads. On that, I had a request from a citizen about these kind of leads. What do we send those? We had 177 of them. What do we send those people?
They receive a group packet and a copy of the city profile.
And what's
I
in the
sent 'em a
group?
letter.
What's in the group packet?
It has, I brought it in before.
The
It
flyer?
has-
There was a flyer or something?
Yeah, we send them a letter, thank you for your interest. We send group itineraries for 1 day, 2 days. We have a copy of the visitor's guide. And then we have sheets that we have broken down that are kind of stepped, where we have art galleries, restaurants, wineries, shopping, and we change that according to what they're interested in the most. A lot of the church groups do not want anything information on wineries. They don't want it. They don't care. So we make sure that we put that packet to fit what they're looking for and they're asking for. It also includes our city profile sheet, which that's mainly the thing that they're going to keep. All the other stuff is probably tossed. They just want that sheet that they can put into their binder that we can go back and reference.
Okay. The question, of the 177, how many actually came here?
I would have to go back and look. I did not have a chance to review that.
Could you, the other question, the question I really had from the citizen is, when we send them a group packet, can we notify the local businesses that might want to send them, say,
No, no, we cannot do that. That will aggravate, they are very strict on what you can send. They only want to hear from the DMOs. They do not want to be inundated. These are bankers, they are getting information, they're the church groups. They are not interested in all that information. I am giving them that information in the packet, but they are very clear. The group leaders, both through bank travel and going on faith, they do not want to be inundated with paper. They want simple, clean, neat, organize everything through one person. They do not want all that information.
On regular hard leads you get from magazines, do you get email addresses from people, or some of them go back by email? I'm just asking.
The hard leads, we get, for individual hard leads, we send them a copy of the visitor's guide. We have all their names, we have all their information, we track any that come back because if it's a bad address. And then this is where the conversion study is going to come in. We do not go back and call, we do not go back and email these folks. That just would be, I don't know, if you ask for information, do you want someone hounding you? It's just something that's not recommended within the tourism industry. Someone asks for something, send it to them. And if they want more information, they'll contact you instead of, plus I don't have the staff to call. We had over 200 leads come in last week.
Okay.
That's
Would-
that's probably inappropriate, probably. Solicit them with that.
It was a question I got, wanted an
I
answer.
mean, it's a good idea, but at the same time,
Yep.
it's probably not.
I think unless they specifically tell you that you can email them other things, you'd be considered spam.
Yes.
I think they would have to, like if I have a Station 2 Cafe email list, I think they would have to sign up and say, hey, it's okay to send me these. Whereas if I get that email from somebody else and just send them something unsolicited, probably not.
I spend half my morning deleting stuff that I,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
okay. Any other questions, Stephanie, at this point? Let's move on to old business, signage update.
Landmarks approved our wayfinding signs, that was the one outside the courthouse. We originally put a mock-up there of a 4x8 sign, just way too big for space. So we redid it down to 3x5, and it looks more appropriate. The county commission is agreed with our putting the sign there with the provision that we landscape it, not, basically, they just want us to take the decorative rock that they've used around the courthouse and create a kind of rock garden under the sign so that they don't have to weed whip and try and maintain grass under a sign. We've also had comments that we need to provide some kind of walking or standing path. I think Bob mentioned it for handicap access. So that rock would be inappropriate for that purpose, so we'll probably pour one of the exposed aggregate concrete pad in front of it for people to stand while they're reading the sign. As far as the road signs are concerned, I still haven't gotten the signed agreement back from the state, but I did rebid it because the state requirement was that the sign be 7 feet above the ground, which is kind of remarkable. I mean, this sign is going to be up there, but that's what they required.
The bottom of the sign has to be
7 feet.
We'll hit your head on.
So, our sign is already 3.5 feet. It's behind the judge's bench. And, but, gotta do what we gotta do. Now, so I had bids before, so I sent this requirement out to the people who had bid responded. That post to accomplish some 7-foot elevation is not something people stock. It's a special order deal, so it's going to increase the cost for 10 of the signs, 10 of the 16. The other option is you can gang them, you can put them together and bolt them, so make it a 2-piece post, and so we got to look at those options. But those bids are in, and I'm ready to go as soon as I get the information from the state, as soon as I get the contract back from the state. Teddy Ross come to see you?
Not yet.
Did Landmarks approve, did we go to Landmarks for the sign itself?
Yes.
Okay. The other you are here thing is going to be down on the park on Main Street.
It's already up.
It's already up. And we're working on the you are here information that goes in those.
Yeah, as soon as Teddy gets that to me, I'll contact him and we'll get working on that.
Why don't you call him to remind him that he needs to do that?
We'll do that.
Anything else on signage? Okay. Adoption of new event listing. This is trying to put get more people on visitmo.com. They were down for a few days last month because of they're redoing their portal. We did get one since our last meeting. Melange is now on there, and still working on. We need to have them on by June to get into, I guess, June 1st. Is that what the date was last year? Was
Yes.
To get into the actual print volume. So the next couple of months, we really need to work the people to get them on there.
I actually think that referred back to
Oh.
the new event, the guidelines.
You're right, I'm sorry.
It's up.
Yeah,
It's there.
yeah, the guidelines went on this last month.
Yeah.
Based on some other comments that I've gotten, I would suggest you maybe put a press release together in the local newspapers, and sometimes that organizations wanting to get on the event calendar should go to the website, go to the media type thing, because I don't know that people really understand that yet. We did talk about the visitmo.com listings, the conversion of the website to CMS format, an update on that schedule.
We have been receiving bids. I've received some phone calls. I sent a list of businesses to Martin to send out with the scope of work. I have to actually now call, some of their email addresses were bad. So I'm going to go back and call them and find out exactly who do I send those to. But I know it's up and out. You guys posted it on some website, and I
I
received,
posted it on the websites that,
and I got a call from a guy in Michigan.
yeah, I've gotten called. Wayne gave it, or Wade, I'm sorry.
Wade.
Right.
And I've been dealt with his responses
Good.
from people who live all over the world, some of whom don't speak English.
Yes,
They can
that
read
would be
them.
good.
It's been a remarkable experience for me. But I'm not getting quality responses that I hope to get yet, although as you have received calls, so have I, from companies that, you know, do this for a living and are professional, and I
Right.
think we'll get to them shortly. Bob sent me some contacts, and I sent it to each of those as well.
One of the things that we had a meeting on was how do we retain a website administrator up until we get this project done, and I think Dina's taken care of that through June. And do we still feel we'll be online to be with the CMS style format by June?
Hopefully. I mean, it really depends on the quality of the bids that come in.
I'm hoping we can pick somebody doing this kind of a request for qualifications format. So it looks to me, from the ones that I've seen, we're going to be in the $2,000 to $3,000 range for a fee. So that's within our budget.
You're asking for two things, aren't you? The conversion fee plus ongoing website administrator fees.
I've posted the scope of work that you reviewed. So
Because you really need two quotes out of that thing.
And then also, did that include, did we have that including the setting up of the mobile website too? I thought we had talked about that.
No, you said you wanted to wait until we got the conversion done to do the mobile website.
Yeah, it doesn't include it.
Okay. Well, it doesn't mean not something that it needed to be done, that we needed to have it being worked on, because they may be able to do that in, as they do the, as they work on the desktop site, they can also work on the mobile site.
That wasn't in the scope of work.
Okay.
Not that Martin put together, it wasn't. I have it right here.
The other thing on that, you've talked in the past about changing the website to the lean and mean approach. Are we going to make those changes in design before we convert or after we convert?
That'll be up to the website committee. I mean, those were just suggestions. As far as the mobile website,
No, with the regular website, not mobile.
okay, yeah, I think that was the last meeting that we had, was we were going to review that as a committee.
Well, I think we need to, if we're moving down the path of somebody doing the conversion, we better be ready for them. If we're planning to do the lean and mean, I would suggest the committee start reviewing page by page the changes that are gonna happen. And either you or Dina can call that meeting, and I just suggest we get it moving. Because you're gonna be getting to deciding on who you're gonna have it done, and you should then be ready in
To
this
do
short
what?
time frame to do it.
I just kind of have a question. There were some major changes done this week on the tourism website. Do you know who made those? Because Chuck had to go in and fix like 4 different pages.
I have no clue.
Who all have the password?
Well, the login was the visitor center, that's why, and I said, well, Stephanie didn't say anything to me about any changes.
No,
The,
I was trying to put events on the calendar, and somehow I was wiped off being able to do the calendar. Sent Chuck an email, and then he sent me, he gave me access again to the calendar, but outside of that, we haven't done anything.
He didn't know if it was maybe someone just hacked in and changed some things, but there was 4 pages, completely just like converted completely to different language, to completely different language, different photos, different links, everything was just gone. So he went in and he fixed it, but the login, because he looked up the login and it was the Welcome Center's email, but he said that you were having problems with the calendar that week too, so
Yeah.
he doesn't know if it was just some kind of glitch or what, but.
Yeah, no.
So we might want to look at maybe changing the password all the way around,
Yeah, we
because
can do that.
it wiped out the Rural Heritage Days, it wiped out the garden walk, some stuff on the homepage, some of our buttons were gone, just, yeah.
I wonder if that has anything with GoDaddy's issues.
He said it didn't, because
Okay.
that was the very first question I asked him, and he said no.
Okay.
It looked like somebody literally went in and changed code.
I don't even know what the password is.
Yeah, I don't think I do either, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually have to contact Chuck to get the password in order to
Yeah.
find out what.
Well, has anything else on your email been weird, like hacked in or anything? Because they accessed it with your email account. The admin was your actual email and not
The
Bob or I.
director or Espel?
Director, I'm guessing. He just said it was is it director at visitstgen.com?
Yeah, it's director at visitstgen.com.
That's what it was.
I will look and see. I don't think I've had any, I know my Espel account with the city has been attacked. And I know my Gmail account was hacked. And that's actually the account I used for the calendars.
It wasn't SBL, because he said it wasn't your direct login.
Okay.
It was director.
Okay. Well, that
So
I
we
can
might wanna
change.
look.
Yeah, that I can change that.
Okay. Anyway, it's back, it's fixed, all the links are back up, and the pages are where they should be, and it's all back in English. I don't know if it was like Russian or, I don't.
gosh,
it was-
really?
Yeah.
Weird.
So, we just might want to keep an eye on that for a while.
Just a quick comment. I just heard, you don't know what the password is, and you don't know what the password is. If Chuck gets hit by a bus, Where we
Well,
can-
I mean, it's in my files at work. I just don't know it off the top of my head. It's, you know what I'm
Fortunately,
saying?
we
I have to
don't
look
have
it
any
up
buses
every
in
time
town.
I wanna log in. I have to look it up. It's not something that I remember. It looks a lot like WY, whatever, you know what I mean? It's all kinds of different, it's not something easy like chamber director or something like that.
I've never had it. I think I got it for Bo, when the tax commission wanted Bo to do a page for Rural Heritage Day, but that went.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually in my files, but I have to literally look it up every time I wanna log on.
I mean, I've seen this happen before, where you have to just completely trash it, and get a new,
Oh, yeah.
get a new URL and everything.
I don't think we have to go that far. He didn't seem to think so, but he was gonna really monitor it the next couple of weeks, so. And I think he's on it probably daily. But he's really gonna watch, cause as soon as it happened, he called me and he's like, who made these changes? I'm like, I don't know what changes you're talking about. So I logged on, I'm like, whoa, what is this? I mean, it was like complete Russian. It didn't even, it had no sense, rhyme, or reason. It was just weird.
Then we were hacked. And that's what it comes
It
down
had
to.
to be.
So I'll go ahead and I'll change my director email address. I haven't seen anything come over in Russian in my email, but
But the other ones, the pages, like Rural Heritage and Garden Walk, they were completely just gone. They weren't
Wow.
even linked anymore.
okay,
So,
interesting.
yeah. I just want to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, no, I'll go and change our passwords. That's not hard to do.
Okay.
Okay. Tourism Tax Commission Billboard Initiative, we have another one that's been completed. There are two billboards that look like this, that are now located, coming northbound. One is just north of Cape,
107.
and the other one's about 6 miles south of the 150 exit. They're both on the northbound side. They're lighted at night, so.
They look very nice. I seen them last night on my way home from Cape.
Do you have a mile marker for the one? at Cape?
107.
107.
And then 143?
I think it's 144.
144.
144.
43 is Ozora.
143 is
Yeah,
Aurora.
yeah.
To the four.
Yeah.
The only thing that's not on the billboard, and I mean, this became a big question, is we do not have our St. Genevieve logo in a vector file. And they were asking me for that, so they could have that as a part of the billboard. We at least have the gold fleur-de-lis. And that's something that we kind of use on like our social media pages. But we need to figure out how to get that into a vector file.
Here's the thing, we had that vector file because it was given to Andy, and that's how we got the logo trademarked. I don't know what happened to all of his files, Andy's files,
Well,
but
Kim has it. She uses it all the time.
Who?
Kim has to have it. Someone has it
Kim-
because,
Kim Brewer.
I don't know if she has a vector file.
You
She
can't print
has.
it without a vector file.
I'll
so
follow up with
it's,
her, but.
Yeah.
it's
I
somewhere
asked her and
because
she
we've
said
had,
no.
we've had it to trademark the logo. We had to have it to trademark the logo. They wouldn't take anything else
Well, you had to have
but
it
a
print
vector
letterhead.
file. Right. So I didn't have it in my files from
Because
Creative
we always use
Anvil.
PDF.
Yeah, but that's the final product from manipulating the vector file for size.
But they're wanting that vector file,
She
not
should-
the
That's what I'm
PDF.
See, and I think
size.
she
I
should
think I-
have it.
I'll ask.
have it.
If
I'll follow
she
up with her.
doesn't, call Andy and ask him if he remembers where he put it.
I went through all of the, I have
Well, I
copies
already
of
did
all
that.
this.
Okay.
I sent Andy an email probably a month ago, well, right after she had asked me for it. And he said he left all his files there.
And I have them, and I went through them.
And it was in a Creative Anvil file, is what he said.
I'll look at it again, but I didn't see that file.
Okay.
But I went through every folder, every email, I could not find
Mm-hmm.
it.
And who this Andy, he created it?
No,
No,
Creative
Creative Anvil
Anvil
was a company
was
that
the
created
company.
that.
Oh,
But Chuck has
well,
it
they
too.
would have it too, would they
Chuck
not?
does not have it.
No, he was the first person I asked.
He was the very first person we went to.
And
he
Kim
said
was
he
the
does not
second
have it.
person I asked, and Kim said she didn't have it. So,
Someone has it because we created it with the trademark logo, and
you had emailed that to me when we got finally with the
right.
logo, but
I have that, but I don't have the actual
vector file.
vector
The
file.
company, you can't contact the company?
Well, we
again?
already did, we terminated our contract with them, and when we did that, they turned all of their files on St.
Oh.
Genevieve over to Andy.
I see.
So they no longer have us.
I'll go back through again his files. And to
So-
make sure, and I'll look on the other computer too, because they maybe have files that, everything should be on,
Dina, I'm surprised the sign company doesn't have it for your sign at the chamber.
Well, contacted them, they just used a, you're talking about Main Street signs with our sign. I contacted them and they used a, just off of the PDF version, they didn't actually use the vector file from it. That's what Mike told me.
I don't think so.
That's what he told me, so, now that was his father, I always dealt with his son, so I can.
That's a CEC sign, isn't it?
It is.
That's driven
Yeah.
by vector file.
Well, I'll double check with Mike Jr. because I don't think his dad understood really what I was asking for, but,
Yeah, computer cannot.
yeah. I've been looking everywhere for it, because I have some Creative Anvil files as well, but when I talked with Joel, right after I talked with Stephanie, he even said, I mean, he was nice enough to even have conversation with me, but he just said, you know, we turned everything over to Andy, every file went to him, he has every logo aspect, and I said, okay.
I will go back through all the files again. I don't know.
Okay. And I'll check with Main Street Sign, because you're right, it is a CEC file, so, or sign.
Yeah, you can't do that in the
Yeah.
other way.
Like I said, I don't think his dad maybe knew what I was
Yeah.
asking for, but.
Okay, any other old business? Moving on to new business, Beth wanted to talk about an idea that she had.
Well, I didn't really have the idea. Mike Hankins kind of mentioned it at the last meeting, and I just decided
He's
to
not here, so you
mess
can
around.
get
So I can get ready for a bit. Well, I had this wonderful idea for, I thought, why can't, I mean, most people have a printer that can print black and white. I got this packet of 4-color cardstock at Walmart. There was 50 sheets for like $3 or $4. And we could each just print off however many we want. And I would volunteer to email this out to people, update it every month or 2 months or 6 weeks or whatever it ends up being. I just went to the events calendar and got the next 3 or 4 events that were happening. So I've got this template now. And so I think the last one is the 4th Friday Art Walk for April. So then I looked at the next, 4 events and was going to put the next 4 on the
Who would
next
these
one.
Who would these go to, Beth?
Anybody who wants them. I mean, in town, but then if there's places out of town, if anyone knows.
What about putting them in shops on the campus?
Like, I would print them out for my shop. Jan would print them out for his bed and breakfast,
Right.
however many he wanted. And that way,
But
what
that-
I'll probably
That's
do.
the distribution is gonna be from local establishments.
Right, or if anybody out of town wants to
Right.
put them out.
Yeah.
For me, I'll probably print 3 pages at a time and put them out. That way, I don't have that much left over ever. And, 'cause I don't know how many people are gonna pick them up, I'll just print another page whenever I need it. Just paper cut 3 sections and,
Set them all together.
yeah. And I thought, well, we've got all this room for something on the back, but it's really easy just to do the front side too. And I guess if somebody wanted to, they could add a backside to it with information about their specific establishment. If they put it out.
Specials or coupons or,
Yeah. So like Kathy could put a
Yeah. Coupon or something.
50% off for girls named Beth.
That's
Thursday.
That's right.
On the back.
And I have that event coming up. Call me.
Okay.
Do you have, Stephanie, an up-to-date list of merchants' email addresses, B&Bs, where it can all be, it's like a flash email thing?
To the wineries and,
Yeah.
Pam Klein has that. She maintains it.
who?
Pam.
Oh, yeah, Pam Klein has one, and then, yeah, my staff on their computer has one.
I have a formatting comment,
okay.
assuming that these are to be cut in thirds.
Yes.
You're gonna have uneven, it's not gonna be centered. The text. Okay, well,
You can set them up that way in various ways, and even with the little tick marks to do the cutting.
The printer I have now versus my old printer, which I loved, and I hate the new one. The old printer I had would print all the way to the edge, and this new one I have, I had to move it over that much so that the words wouldn't be cut off. unfortunately. I did have them all perfectly spaced like that because I'm OCD like that, and the printer wouldn't print them like that. So,
Well, I guess the question is, are you gonna maintain this, or?
yeah, I can do it.
And who's gonna send them out to the?
I can do it.
Okay.
If I have the list, I'll create a group in my email and just send to the group. And this took me, well, messing around with the format took a while, but now that I have the format and I know where the columns are, it won't take me very long
It'd be flooding show.
to redo it. Because I just go to the events calendar, I look for the next 3 or 4 things, I shorten the descriptions a little bit, and that's it.
In what program did you create this?
Pages, it's on a Mac, it's like Microsoft Word for Mac. And then I would email it out as a PDF. 'Cause
Right, protected PDF.
If they want to add anything to the back, a PDF is going to be difficult.
You want it right?
But they could
Well, they
create
could
their own
print it out
file
and
and
then-
just put the
Very
paper
true.
in the other way.
Yeah, very true, just thought of that.
Well, could you provide Beth with your distribution list?
Yes, yeah, I'll have Troy get on that. I think we're actually at a point where we're needing to go through and start making phone calls and making sure that everybody has all the same email addresses, because people change their email addresses quite a bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, we can do that.
When I send out the first one, I'll just put something on it. If you would like to be excluded from this list, email me back, I'll remove you, but thought you might be interested since you're a merchant or, because of what you do.
How about, send Steph a copy and then you could just post it on or somehow can you post it on the St. Jen Facebook page
Yeah.
and the Visit St. Jen.
And somebody can just print it out, download it to you.
I'm trying to get, I'm trying to work on, whenever anyone brings me in a poster, I'm asking them to send me the email version of their poster so that I can post it on Facebook, or I can, make nice color copies. And I know I emailed a few out to Jan, and I emailed a few out to a couple other folks that had asked for them, so you have a nice color copy. But yeah, no, we can do that.
One of the things that, we've talked about in the past is things that we need for people to do in the evening, things for visitors to do. These tend to be bigger event kind of things. How do we, eventually, I hope we have more things for people to do in the evening. We have more visitors here. And we need to, I think, start thinking about how we're going to advertise or make people aware of what's going on. And it's not the signature events, it's not, the special events. Someplace in town here, we're gonna have to have, hey, this is happening now, kind of thing. And other websites, I checked Herman, I checked Hannibal, checked Carbondale. They have a lot of that sort of stuff on their website. And it's someplace somebody can, we might want to think about adding that to the website. And I know we don't
Well,
want
that
to.
might be part of that CMS and being
Yeah.
able to do that, because they
Very
have
quickly.
that site where they can
Yeah.
adjust that information. And then the other thing is, there is nothing going on at night right now for us to even post. Outside of, Sandbar is usually open in the evenings, and I think once we hit the summertime, Big Field Cafe will have the extended hours. No?
I don't believe so. I think
Where's
they're
Saturday
closed.
weekend music?
There's a sign on their door that said they're closed.
They
They haven't,
just-
they haven't been open all week.
Who's that?
Big Field
They
Cafe.
just reopened with a new menu.
I'm just telling you what the sign says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been closed all week, and
There
I've been
are
trying to find
things,
out, and
I mean,
nobody's answering the calls.
Interesting.
when you look through the newspaper, there's a whole variety of things. Some of them aren't the big events. I mean, but there are things like the Sandbars having bands Friday and Saturday night. The Midway has a band. And it's not the big events. And again,
If we are given that information, I am happy to provide it. We have the concert series events, we have, I try to do with the wineries, I try to do that.
I think what Bob's talking about is what I go through every weekend, is I have to call to find out. I mean, I'm not gonna drive to Midway to see what they're doing, but people say, well, what can we do after dinner? We go call the Oris and see if they've got something going on, and that's about the limit of it right now.
Mhm. But somehow we gotta get to a place where people can go to it, you don't have to call,
Right,
it's
right.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
well, it would
and
That's
be
what
nice if
I'm
people would be
agreeing.
forthcoming with the information. I mean, we don't have the information.
we don't have the mechanism yet to,
Short of calling them every single week, trying to find out what they're going on. And there's usually a question mark on a lot of them. I know the wineries are like, you know, this is who we've had booked, but this might not necessarily be who shows up that week because there may be a change and they switch.
I just look in the newspaper, I guess I trust our newspaper. On Tuesdays, they usually tell what's going on, at least for the weekends. People are advertising in there. But maybe we're not quite ready for this, but we've gotta figure out how we're gonna make this happen.
Absolutely. That's the biggest complaint that we have. We've come in town, it's 4 o'clock, we've checked in. What's going on? Everything closes at 5. But yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. So that's something I think we'll probably take a look at with the electronic committee and our resource committee. Okay, what was the next thing? I put on your update on Mid-Mississippi Valley MWR initiative. Stephanie reminded me that's really the Kaskaskia project.
Yes.
And I asked her to kind of, she'd mentioned it a couple of times in previous meetings. and-
Yes, it is now complete. They printed 10,000 copies. This is a map. I worked with the Corps of Engineer on this project, and with folks in Illinois. The Corps is who paid for this, so they have the final approval of what is in here. But the idea was to create a circuitous route through the French colonial region, Route 3 going up River Road, across the ferry, which the ferry is now waiting, they're looking for a pilot, so if anyone is a pilot and needing a job, they're desperately looking because the water is up high enough, the ferry can operate.
It's almost too high.
I know.
So they can operate, but now they don't have anyone.
They don't have anyone to
drive
drive
the
the
boat.
boat. So I worked with committee on this, they had approached me, they were really interested in,
I'm sorry, I said, have they put that on their website?
No.
The ferry? Maybe they should.
What's that?
I don't know.
That they're
we
looking
talked-
for
I
a
found-
pilot.
Yeah.
I found out from Ron Edmond last night, I was thinking about putting it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
You know, looking,
I would think they would put it there, but.
yeah. So here it shows, the red dotted line is kind of the route that people can take. It points out the different heritage and wildlife areas, the Kaskaskia Recreation Lock and Dam confluence. They have really been working on creating the Kaskaskia River confluence into a park. They have built an auditorium so that they can do classes, and they're really wanting to just branch out and work with the region because they have limited supplies, just like everybody else. They're only able to print 10,000 of these right now, and probably with the sequestration that they have lost more funds. So I don't
This
know
is
when they're
also
going to print
online.
again. And it is on. They do now have it online.
How many were you supplied? How many copies were you supplied?
I have a box,
A box of, you know how many's in there?
maybe 700.
Can we-
750.
Can I maybe get like 50 of them
Sure.
for the chamber office?
Oh, absolutely. And
Okay.
I mean, I'll chase them down and get another, it's just, last time I met with them, because they're wanting me to be on the board of some other thing for Illinois.
Okay.
But yeah, I can chase them down and get another,
I'll just take 50, and then if I run out, I'll get more from you.
yeah, I gave a handful to Jan.
Okay.
But it was, you know, the idea, to kind of give an idea of the heritage and the history and include, you know, Prairie du Rocher and include St. Genevieve. The one thing that I had insisted upon was the 1735. Their historian over there was battling that number. So we have a spot on here, original village site, established 1735, and then relocated due to flooding, and that's where we're up in our current area. But it's really exciting. It's an opportunity for, you know, being able to take the ferry, what a fun thing to do when it's operating, go down through Chester, hit the Chester Bridge, and kind of focus in on that French colonial history and region, and it's just another thing to have people do, you know, do the wineries one day, and then they can do
this little route another day when the ferry is operating, or they can just go back and forth over Kaskaskia. But we have different, you know, for St. Genevieve, we have restaurants, we have lodging, we have a hospital, the Welcome Center. I tried to get lodging for St. Mary's because we do have a B&B down there, and they did not want to do that, so they left it. Has the information about what's available in Chester, information about Fort Kaskaskia and the Pierre Menard home, and then of the wildlife area for Kaskaskia at the confluence. It's really exciting, actually, to have this, and it's also exciting to see what they are doing with that recreational area. Because it is in floodplain, because it does get flooded often, and you know, they have taken that into account. And all of the buildings that they have constructed are concrete buildings. They will go nowhere, they just have to go in, power wash mud, and move on. And then with their amphitheater, it sits right at that confluence of the two rivers, and they used these huge rocks, I believe from Tower Rock, provided them. And so they have this nice amphitheater area where they're doing a lot of work with schools and scouts, but they plan on expanding their education, conservation, and the birds. Every year they have an eagle float. I don't know if they had it yet this year or not, but I think they would have by now.
Yeah,
But I think it's in January, isn't it?
it'd be earlier than, they're probably moving now.
Yeah. And I didn't see very many eagles this year, but I mean, it's turned out to be very popular.
No water.
Well, there's that too, the water was down. But it's turned out to be.
Half a block from,
Huh?
Seriously?
not here, Hillsborough.
Oh.
There are two eagles in
Oh, yeah, really?
the half a block from the house I have in Hillsborough.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's
Go ahead.
like the lake.
We have
Did
a,
they play golf?
they pick up golf balls. We have a couple opportunities here, I think, to, one of them was, when you go on the website, if you type in Kaskaskia project, there's a place where it links to St. Genevieve, but the link is to the Great River Road website,
Oh, I didn't
not to
catch that.
visit stgen.com. So that's one thing, if you can work with them to get
Yes,
that
I can.
changed. The other, and also that maybe they put the Modoc Ferry website link somehow on there.
Yeah, because they didn't have that at the time of
Right.
print.
The other opportunity is, if you look at this map, and that's where the Middle Mississippi River National Wildlife Refuge comes in, you'll see down here on Kaskaskia, there's the Harse Island one, there's one up at Beaver Island. What those are birding areas, and I think we have an opportunity. The city has one where, when the levee project, that could be a great addition, the Audubon. I mean, we've got an Audubon connection here. We should get a birding part there by our levee. There's another great opportunity down by the new port. There's the old town down there, but there's a wetlands area that they had to keep. There's going to be an elevated levee. It'll be another great birding opportunity.
Actually, the original plan for Phase 4 of the Urban Design Levy project is that wetlands birding,
Right.
and so that it's on paper, it's really ready to go as soon as we get through the next two phases, but.
You could, I mean,
That's-
there's Tom Steiger does birding tours, and some of the, like French Festival and stuff. I think there's the opportunity, you can walk the levee now. I just think we need to start working these guys and the Corps to get us on part of this birding thing.
That's Tom Nager.
Tom Nager, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
something I can
whatever.
do. They're working on a new initiative on the Illinois side of the river, and I'm trying to tap into it. They have asked for me to be on the board for that initiative, and I'm just waiting for the first meeting to see what the details are. You know, I mean, we had an Audubon event a few years back, but we don't have something every single year, and he was here for such a short period of time that it's, you know, do we focus our advertising on French colonial, or, you know, how do we switch that? And birding magazines are pricey,
And burgers tend to not be spenders.
That's not what some of the burgers, the Audubon Society people tell me. John Carroll's been pushing me on this thing too, and he's a member of a lot of those kind of organizations, and they do spend money.
The Tourism Research Association of America, Tour and Travel Association,
Says no.
says no.
I just want to correct myself, it's Tom Sexton.
Sex art. Okay. We'll get the right Tom.
All right, we're next.
Do you have any Dick or Harrys involved? Is it going to be part of the French Festival this year?
Just call Tom.
Are you going to do that again this year in the French Festival?
It's pretty fully attended, the birding.
Yeah. Just, I think it's some opportunities. It's one of the things we've never taken a real advantage of that we have. Okay. Any other questions on that? Committee reports, electronic media?
I don't think we have anything to report.
Okay, print media?
Not much to report. We've got a pretty sizable inventory of the town brochure, and the dummy that I created to incorporate the new B&Bs is going to have to be redone because we're losing one lot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Go figure.
so that's going to free up a little space, but it's going to make things unbalanced. And
Yep.
I'll have to work on that, but
Okay.
there's no urgency to it.
Nothing on tourism development that I know. Other than, I think in your package, included, and I may have handed this out before, but this thing called venue locations. This is something we worked on with Pam and City Hall. Just this week, I was on a bunch of free calendars, and a lot of places asked for specific street addresses. Like you can't put down Jour de Fête grounds, you got to put down 72 South Gabbery. So this is, we went through all the various locations and venues that we could possibly think about, and if we get more, we can put them on the list. But this should be a tool for people that are doing advertising and going on some of these free calendars and stuff, that they have a site
I would
to.
say the event committees would probably do well having that information, like the Master Gardeners
Yep.
and the Lions, and
Yep.
that would be good.
Anything from Resource Committee at this point? Joe, I guess you're the only one here. We've got to relook at that and reconstitute and see if we really, how we want to keep that.
The airport may want to be downplayed to airstrip.
I don't know, I always call it St. Genevieve International Airport.
Actual real planes land there.
They do.
They do,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know they
These guys come in,
do.
they fly their vintage
I
little
know they
Yeah.
do.
Pipers and Cessnas
I'm
and,
very familiar with
Come in and
it.
hang around and.
yeah.
And those guys spend money too, so it's, it'd
Hey,
be
they
something.
come to our place every time we're here.
Do
so,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, airport gives a different connotation than airstrip.
Airstrip, okay.
What kind of action are we getting at the tree limb disposal site?
Well,
It's on the list.
It was on the list, just,
Right in that spot, right now.
well, back in my day, I think we used to go down and take girls down there to shoot rats and stuff when it was the city dump, but I don't think we do that
We
anymore.
hadn't talked about before.
That's
That's
That'd be fun.
Yeah. It's kind of went out of style.
Mouse races, why not rat
Rat
shooting?
Yeah, no, now you can't shoot a gun in city limits, so it kind of,
Oh, darn. Maybe we could do it on the other side of the levee. Is that what it is?
that's city property too.
Darn. Just a thought.
The other thing that I included in here was just part of a flyer from the Okolta Sada people. That's the next big event coming up in the 20th and 21st of April. Then Civil War will be the 4th and 5th. And the Garden Walk is the weekend after Mother's Day.
20th and 21st.
So,
And then the Root event has some events coming up, also the 20 and 21st.
Third weekend of April and May.
Right, and the first one is the Jour de
Jour
la
de la
Terre,
Terre,
the second one is the Progressive Dinner. And then also I'd like to add that tomorrow at A&K Hardware, they're going to be hosting a fundraiser for Sergeant Pollock to help raise some money to help the family with the medical bills. And they will be opening at 10 a.m. until they run out of food. And just kind of highly encourage anybody that wants to get some good barbecue to go over and help support
Good
one of our
cause.
local.
We also have a big baseball tournament in town this weekend, starting today at 11, I guess.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Baseball
Baseball
tournament?
Yeah,
tournament.
today and tomorrow.
I'm not sure, I think it's River Dogs.
Okay.
Started
Oh,
No, it
today.
was St. John
Down
and
at
Valley.
St. John and Valley, you're right,
Yeah.
St. John and Valley,
High school.
sorry.
River Dogs will be coming up though too.
It is
River Dog starts
next weekend.
Okay.
You know, that's
Yeah.
one of the things we still, I think, we need to work with the schools a little bit. 2 weeks ago, we had the volleyball, and I happened to go by Ciro's on
16 teams were in
Friday
town.
night or Saturday night, and you couldn't find a seat. But we gotta somehow have them put information out from the schools to these schools coming in, plus we gotta find a way to let businesses know that these kind of groups are in town. Last week was wrestling, this week's baseball.
And we try to, Dina, I don't have children in school here, and so
Right.
I don't have, but when it shows, she'll call me up and say, hey, we've got this going on. And I generally have Tori say, send an email out to everybody. And I try to put messages on Facebook. I might not always get them out on Facebook, but I try.
Yeah, we've had there were 16 teams for volleyball, I'm not quite sure how many wrestling, and then this weekend, I think from what I understood, we're looking at probably anywhere from 12 to 15 teams too, so, I don't know. I know the Microtel sold out, again this weekend, and that's their third weekend in a row that they've been sold out for sporting events, so.
And those people do spend money in town.
And they do.
Yes, they
Well, they're
do.
here all weekend, they don't leave until Sunday, and they have to eat and do whatever.
It's disappointing we didn't get the sports advertising rate from the state, because
Designation,
we
Interesting,
have
because
so
my
much potential for that.
First visit to the tourism advisory committee at that time, the members were talking about how we should not engage in sports marketing.
Mhm.
And here we are talking about how we should encourage it.
Well, I think there's a
Anything that
difference.
brings in
The difference is the sports marketing that we get tends to be more local schools, where sports marketing on the co-op is supposed to be regional and national, mostly out-of-state stuff. And that,
This wasn't the tax commission.
Regional,
This was.
yeah, regional
was.
though is still, if we have grown up, we are perfect for bicycle races. We are perfect for marathons. We have venues, we can do rodeos. I know the fairgrounds, I don't know if they have any on schedule, but they've done rodeos in the past. So there's opportunities to do small regional events that bring people out of Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, where we can accommodate that type of, and bring in, and those would be adults coming in mainly. I think the rodeos were junior rodeos, but there is a potential there. We are on a website, so for this year, so I've made sure that we have consistently had some type of sport event marketing available. And I get sent RFPs all the time. Most of them we don't qualify for because we do not have the lodging facilities available. But those are for really big events. But there is regional opportunities that we could tap into.
I think, Martin, you're right, we did say that, we were in the realm of that, but I don't think 2 years ago, or even a year ago, we had, some of our school leaders taking the initiative to bring those groups to St. Genevieve, and now we do, because our campus, can now comfortably host something like that.
It's more kind of the evolution of the thought process.
Sure,
Right.
absolutely. So,
and, I think, I don't know what the schools aren't really interested in tourism per se, other than the tax dollars that come in.
And the parking problems.
But we somehow have to kind of take what they're doing and encourage what they're doing and market what they're doing if we're gonna grow it, and that's.
Well, that flyer that you put together and we sent to, the school, St. John's in Valley, they love it because it has the list of restaurants, it has, the shops on it. It also has our lodging establishment. So those people, when they're here all weekend, they know if they want to go to Station 2 one day and eat, or if they want to go to Subway one day, you know what I mean? They're all listed on there. They know where, they don't have to look and scramble and say, well, where do we want to eat today?
Does the Microtel have that they can put in?
They
each
do.
room?
They put them in their rooms. And we just sent it over to the administrators, what a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It was the weekend of the volleyball
Yeah.
tournament, so probably 3 weeks ago.
Well, we need to get to the point where they're sending that out with the package beforehand.
They never
We-
had it before, I don't think.
And we also need to maybe have them, I don't know if they have brochures or visitor guides available when, you know, like at the sign-in desk or whatever.
They don't, and when I asked them if they would, when I asked St. John campus if they would take care of that, they said that it would probably be more waste for us because people would just look through them and then just toss them. And so she didn't encourage that just because she knows that they'd just be a throwaway and that they're
Well,
expensive.
maybe if they had one or two of them there that they could point out stuff to people, because that venue list does not have the shops on it or
Yeah.
the lodging, because it was a one-day, it was most
Yeah,
of those
but
things.
I sent her
list.
something that had a list of lodging and shops on it. I thought you gave me that list, maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. Someone did. I didn't create it.
Well, it's good that they're having them, because those people do spend money in town.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to mention on the Friday Art Walk in April, on the 26th, the hospital is having a 5K walk run for women to just bring awareness, women's health. And we're offering them a T-shirt and a wine glass for $10, and the route will take them to the downtown area. And after the walk run, then they're encouraged to go back and take advantage of the Friday night art walk activities.
Take advantage of the wine
With their
glass.
wine glass.
Yes, exactly. That's-
Can you email me that and I'll add it to this before I send it out?
Yeah,
Okay.
but we already have 35 participants signed up, so still early.
Good.
Just an update on the film crew that we had in town. They will be coming back. There is so much here that we didn't even cover, so they're gonna be coming back, probably the first part of May. And, but we spent, probably roughly 9 hours filming. And if I would've known, I wouldn't have wore 3-inch heels all day. So, it was very interesting. We went and we filmed, the campuses, the schools, the hospital, and the community center. That's all we had time for that day. We didn't get to, law enforcement, we didn't get to city government, we didn't get to Bob, so they're all on our next trip, which will probably be another 9-hour, film day, so.
Tennis shoes that day.
Absolutely, yes. Great company to work with. I think when he walked into our office, he was a little taken back because I had 8 people there ready to be interviewed. He's like, whoa, do you have any idea how long it's going to take? I'm like, oh yeah, an hour. And he's like, not hardly. So anyway, they'll be back. Probably the first part of May is what we've kind of scheduled, so the weather is nice and they've had some film and some photography going on. So pretty exciting stuff. I can't wait to see the final.
Okay. Any other business?
Move to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Start naming stuff, and you're tempted not to.
Not good.